What's going on, YouTube? Damn, it's early. 5:40 in the a.m. Sunday morning. Let's take a look at this limited edition Paloma Rex line Novarossi engine. This very hard to find. You won't find it out there too much, but we got one right here. We're gonna check it out. Love my Novarossis. Obviously, we got a few. We also got some stuff going on here with the Baja. I'm gonna go over it. I'm gonna show y'all what I've been doing and the reasons why I've been doing it. So give me a few minutes. Let me finish watching Crazy Dad Nitro here, and we'll see y'all in a sec. Peace. Alright, so before we get into this beautiful Paloma right here, let's take a look at what's going on in the Baja. So I thought about this long and hard, what I wanted to do, and I want to keep this indicative to the budget Baja build that we did. We are going to build another Baja. Haven't decided where I'm going with it. Just haven't had a lot of time with my new work, things like that. So I thought what I would do with this is just do some strip it down, clean everything, redo the diff right here, and I'll tell you all about that in a second. Clean it all up, you know, everything from the inside of the receiver box to the fuel tank, all the parts. Just cleaned everything really well, replaced a lot of the bearings, things like that. But what we also did is we completely cleaned and stripped down. Show you guys some pictures right here of the items as they were being cleaned, and then we decided to paint it. So I put 6 coats of this paint right here. Where is it? This right here from Ace, Rust Stop. It's machine and implement paint, international blue gloss, which very similar to your AMSOIL color. I wish I would have painted this a little bit darker, but it's not bad. So beautiful paint job on this thing. We let each coat dry before we went into the next one. It's thick and very durable. So great paint right here, guys, if you want to paint any of your aluminum pieces. So we did this, and we also did that. But cleaned everything, cleaned all the dirt out of the black bone gears on the inside of this. This thing is so smooth. We're probably going to go ahead for now and just leave the ESP in there. We're going over it as well. Haven't quite got to it yet. Still got to clean this up. Thinking about maybe, I mean, we do have this brake on the fan shroud as well as the case on the engine, but it really doesn't affect everything. There's enough lockdown on it to where it's not going to move around or anything like that. But I do want to get all this cleaned up. We may replace this pull start shroud right here, the engine shroud, little beat up, or we may just clean it up and paint it maybe the same blue. I don't know, I haven't decided yet, but went through everything. We're gonna run this thing without brakes, man. I don't see any need for brakes out on the soccer field. It's just your driving style. You got to slow it down a little bit, but I'm not even going to put brakes on. I'm tired of messing with it. RCR, the stock brakes, any of that crap. It's just a pain in the ass, man. So we're going to run without it, but we do have that beautiful Kraken titanium lathe shaft in there, as well as the black bone gears. We replaced all the bearings in the transmission and the diff. I pulled the diff apart. We redid it. Again, there's some pictures for you up there somewhere in this video. But look how smooth this thing is, man. Look at that. Holy moly, that's how you want it to turn. If you have any binding, anything like that, you definitely need to figure that out. But that's what you want right there, people. You want smoothness. Then when you get everything together, you know, make sure you don't have any binding either, because it can be smooth here, and then once you get your engine in and everything tightened up, then you may have some binding. So keep an eye on it, people. We got all the slop out of it with the brand new bearings, and we're good to go. My Taylor hubs right here, they have been beat up a little bit. I don't know if that's from the inside of the wheel or what, but both sides. So thinking about probably maybe replacing these extenders as well. But I think it's coming out pretty nice, man. And we'll get it together and we'll do a rip here pretty soon. Again, my mod for keeping the pins from coming out, even if they loosen from the set screw, wrap this thing really nice and neat and tight with some electrical tape, and then put a zip tie on it, and you're not going to have any issue with those pins coming out at all. I don't do it on the inners, just these outers right here. Upgraded 10mm shock shafts, the Rovin shocks. No IRCs on here, but we do have some RC Max stuff on it. We do have our Turtle Racing items, and of course this beautiful modified RC chassis right here. This piece right here, the front rear bulkhead, I forget what you call it, man. It's been so long since I messed with these things that I forget what some of the parts. I think it's the rear front bulkhead brace. I think that's what it is. And then we have our Taylor hinge pin holders and our Kraken titanium hinge pins in there, your clipless hinge pins. I'm not sure if they're titanium, they might be, but they're the clipless hinge pins on there. And our Bonehead carbon fiber top plate. So we do have some goodies on here. Our engine brace right here, Taylor. And then of course our Black Bone and Turtle Racing goodies. But we're just going to keep this thing as budget friendly as possible. It just shows that you can do upgrades, you can do things without spending a fortune, man. I think this came out beautiful. It looks really great, all going with my AMSOIL theme right there, even though I'm not running AMSOIL in my fuel right now. We're running VP 50:1. That's why we got a little VP sticker on there right there. So work in progress. Haven't decided if I'm gonna pick up another engine for this or not, but you know, times can be tough, man. You don't always want to spend a lot of money on things. So there are things you can do to upgrade your platforms without spending a fortune and still looking badass. So give me a few minutes, guys, and we will get into this beautiful Paloma right here, Rex line. I'll tell you all about it. So see you in a few. All right, let's just get right into this. So first of all, let's look at the head on this thing. Beautiful Rex Novarossi Paloma limited edition. Got some shine cuts, as Nitro Talk with Todd would say. Just a basic head, typical Novarossi. You can tell. I believe that this was released production year. I don't know exactly. It's kind of hard to find information on it, but I'm going to assume probably 2014 to 2016, somewhere in that area. I do have the Paloma 2019 version of it right here, and you can tell this is a 2019 version right here. Bigger cooling head, just more mass in the engine as a whole. I believe the blocks pretty similar, but definitely bigger crankcase here, just a bigger engine altogether. Yeah, the whole thing is bigger on the newer 19 Paloma. They still put out the CT06 plug on the newer ones and the older ones. but it was called something else, CG, or I don't know. Let's see, maybe it says here what the original plug. They changed the plug. They changed the plug number on it to a CT06, is the newer Novarossi plug that came out. These were C6TGCs, which is this one right here as well. You can always tell again by the little dots around the top of it. This one, this Paloma was produced in 2019 right here. So I don't have the original box for the limited. I wish I did. That's the only thing that it didn't come with. The missing piece to the puzzle. And I doubt I'll ever be able to find one. So it is what it is. But anyway, really nice looking head on there. Let's look at the crankcase real quick. Steel rear bearing. The blue shielded front bearing, which was not the 17101, I think it was. I forget the actual number, but this was the second version of it. Still a good bearing though. Really nice crankcase. You can see a lot of modifications from the factory here in the exhaust port. Novarossi just took a lot of work and care in making these things very powerful. Again, even though a limited edition nitro engine, still budget friendly, as Novarossi always was, with the exception of your higher end like your Mephisto and things like that. But still very quality, very powerful engine. Again, a lot of your Novarossi lower end engines are more powerful than your more expensive higher end engines. They just took pride in what they did, man. Family business. I mean, you can see little cuts in there, porting in the exhaust port down in here. Very nice. And they always have that seal on the inside of the carb throat, porting there, going down into the timing window. Little cut out there for your header, your manifold. I mean, they really thought about things when they built these. Very nice. All right, let's look at this crank real quick. So this is a 14.5 millimeter crank, which is pretty typical for Novarossi. Nice cuts here in the barrel, edged here, marked Novarossi trademark 2714. So not sure what those numbers mean. Definitely this has been used. It's only got, I'm gonna say, about a gallon. You're gonna see that in the pinch here in the piston and sleeve. But I don't know, man. It kind of looks like maybe some dirt got in there or something. I have cleaned this really well, but you can see a lot of staining on the crank right here, even though it wasn't run very much. I'm thinking maybe they did get some dirt in there, although I didn't really see any evidence of it on the piston at all in the sleeve, and you'll see that here in a minute. But it just seems right here. I haven't really seen that before. It's kind of I don't know, it looks different. Then you can see right here like a little spot. Still beautiful though. Polished. Not the end of it, not the counterweight end of it here, but the crank itself. polished on the inside of the counterweight at the end. Looks good. You can also tell a nitro engine when you get it that it doesn't have a lot of runtime on it. When you look at the threads, and the threads aren't really dirty, and all I did really was wipe this thing down. There was really nothing on the threads. I did put this on myself. Usually what I do when I go to get the sleeve out is I'll put a nut on there, screw it on, and then turn it, put a 3/16 nylon rope through the exhaust port, and then turn it with your clutch nut wrench. This one, where'd it go? Wait, oh, here it is. This is one of my favorite right here. This is the Dynamite one, and definitely one of my favorite 8mm clutch nut tool right there. But that's how I'll typically get them off. And that's probably, if you see anything on there, that's what it's from, because it's older clutch nut. It's got some debris and dirt on the inside there. But it is filled, ramped and filled right there. Really nice, man. Just quality from Novarossi. Alright. Back plate, typical Novarossi. It's got the cutout for the skirt. But basically they're all the same. It's got a good seal right here. It's countersunk where the seal goes, so it sets in there and it just pops in. Great seal on Novarossis. You can see where the crank was rubbing, or the end of the crank pin was rubbing with the rod. A little bit more than usual right here too. Like maybe they didn't have their clutch nut tightened down good enough. Maybe it loosened up once or something on them. But that's not going to affect anything. Made in Italy. Got your Novarossi insignia, trademark in there. Alright. Head button. Looks pretty good. I cleaned this up a little bit. Little caramelization on the inside, but not much. Again, CT06. You got your marking here, your dot to indicate this goes towards the exhaust port. Anytime you see this dot, it goes towards the exhaust port. 3 shims, 1 copper, 2 I guess aluminum or steel, whatever they are, aluminum. Not sure what size they are. So before we get into the sleeve, let's take a look at some of the specs on this. So Novarossi Paloma limited edition, suggested pipe and header combo 9886 41001, which basically is this right here. This is a really old 41001 Novarossi header, but great on .21s. And again, the 51021, which is the 9886. This is a super strong. This is one of my first ones. It's pretty beat up. I don't really use it anymore. Novarossi, made in Italy. Great combo. This was the recommended pipe and header by Neil over at the Nitro Shop, otherwise known as TNS, big engine builder, engine modifier. Not sure if he really does anything anymore. We all know who I use. I use Lance at RCR. And that's the only person I've ever used. 16.8 stroke. It's a 3.55 cc at max power, 35,800 RPMs, with a max RPM range of 6,000 to 40,700. Huge, man. These engines, they just spin. The RPMs on them are crazy. Bore stroke 15 88 by 1760 millimeter sleeve, 7 transfer ports, 2 exhaust booster ports. So you have exhaust port and your two booster ports. Again, a 14.5 millimeter crank. It did come originally with a 9 millimeter aluminum venturi, which is not in here, by the way, but we will run a 9 millimeter venturi. The entire engine weighs 363 grams and does have a milled out of a single piece of aluminum CNC piston and an R7 con rod. So that's basically all the information I have on this. It's hard to find info on them. You can find some of these listed on WorthPoint. Probably still not there, but it does give some of the information. Tried going to Novarossi and looking it up, but I just couldn't find anything. But then again, I'm old, people. I'm not very technologically advanced. I'm more mechanically inclined than technologically advanced. But it's a great nitro engine, man. A lot of power. Novarossi, again, took a lot of time and effort in their engines, and it's definitely a shame that they're not here, man. All right, let's take a look at this sleeve. All right, beautiful sleeve. Got a lot of cuts here. So here's your exhaust port. Here's your two booster ports right here. And then you have your transfer ports, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 port with 2 booster ports. Always really good machining on these. You can hardly ever see any burrs. But unfortunately, I do think that some dirt got in here. If you look right here, kind of hard to see, but if you look in there, it's not a scratch per se, but you can just tell that maybe some dirt got in there, and there's a little bit abrased right there, but I don't think it's really going to affect it too much. It's very minor, and we're definitely going to give this thing a run. Yeah, you might be able to see a little bit right there. It's not really a scratch. It's more or less a stain, if you will. But you can definitely see it. No gouges, nothing like that. So it really shouldn't affect anything. I did notice on the piston that we did have one little tiny scratch right here. You can barely see it, but it definitely is there. I don't know what that's from. Again, I think maybe some dirt got in here. I mean, you can kind of tell right here. Anytime you see the dark staining on there, it means that something got in there, some dirt or something. But I don't think it's going to affect the performance of this nitro engine. It's so minor. This scratch is minor, and it's not coming up all the way to the dome of the piston. When you get a scratch, a gouge that goes all the way up, that's when you're going to get compression loss. This is not really going to affect anything right here. And you can also get some what do you call this stuff right here, this type of pad right here. Put some oil on it and just gently go around it, and a lot of times you can get it smoothed out when it's a minor scratch. But that's really the only thing that I've noticed on here. I am going to run it, and I think it's going to run great. Typical Novarossi R7 con rod right here. Let's check the tolerance on it. Yeah, everything is tight. There's no movement at all. This thing has got to have a gallon or less on it. And what I'm assuming is that someone that wasn't very versed in nitro started to run this thing They didn't put a lot of gallons on it, but maybe something happened, like their air filter came off or something, and they got a little bit of dirt down in there. But we did a thorough clean on this thing, and again, I don't think it's really going to affect anything. Let me get a little juice on this thing. Let's see if we can check the pinch on it. Look, see? That's it, man. There's a ton of pinch on that thing, man. Ton of pinch. This thing really, to me, doesn't even look like it's completely broken in. The newer version, this is one of the original versions of this. The newer version did have a team line piston, so it had a, the little dimple in the top. This one does not, which makes me think this is probably one of the very first versions of this engine. I'm assuming, again, around 2014, 2016, but it could be older than that. But I'm pushing on this thing really hard, and that's all we got, man. So, ton of pinch left in this. Branded Novarossi, like they always did. Trademark, patented. Says Novarossi on there. Just an outstanding nitro engine, people, and it's too bad they went out of business. I wish maybe they would have charged a little bit more for their engines. They were definitely worth it, but ultimately, after many, many, many years, their off-road and on-road line of engines discontinued and the factory shut down. So here's your typical 2-needle Novarossi carb. To me, the best carburetor in the industry, hands down. Looks good. See a little bit. I cleaned everything really good, but you can see a little staining on the barrel, which makes me think that a little bit of dirt got in there. Probably not much, but a little bit. And this needle setting is right where I got it from, so whoever had it, we're up from flush, maybe 1/8 of an inch or less. But yeah, so they were running pretty rich on the top side, and your low speed is pulled out very far. I generally, on Novarossi engines, I'll start somewhere around 4 1/4 turns out during break-in, and by the time I've got this thing dialed in, generally it's about a little less, maybe 1/8 of an inch less than 4 turns out. Branded Novarossi. The boot still looks good. Little nick right there. Looks like they were running their gap pretty good, though. Let's see if I can get this off. And again, no Venturi in here. Yeah, they definitely were running their gap good, which was probably set by the factory, and they didn't touch it because they really didn't know what they were doing. But typically I'll do about a 0.40 on these. Very small gap, man. You want the smallest gap you can get, and still idle correctly. Adam Drake boasts that he can get his OSs down to a 0.20 gap. That looks like about a 0.40 right there. You're going to be between 0.40 and 0.60 on these millimeter. Yeah, but I really don't think that that little tiny scratch on here is really going to affect anything. I mean, you can barely see it right there, but it is definitely there. But I don't think it's going to cause any compression loss because it doesn't go all the way to the top. It just stops right there at the wrist pin hole. All right, people. So what we're going to do on this is I'm going to get it back together, and we're going to put it here in the Techno MB48.4, which I've already repaired from the last issue that we had. Look at that, man. I've hit these curbs many times, flown this thing into poles. The Techno drive shafts and CVDs, to me, are some of the best, most durable. Losi, man, every time I run these Losis, look at them. They're all bent to shit, man. We gotta, and these aren't the Losi ones. I'm running the Techno drive shafts in these. This one is bent just a little bit. I'm running the Techno drive shafts in my TLR, and then we're upgrading to the LST heavy duty outdrive cups. Believe it or not, I haven't changed this one just because their metals are so soft and they break so easily. But I'm a basher, not a racer. I don't need a lightened outdrive cup and all that. This is the heavy duty LST outdrive cup in here because we kept breaking them. I mean, most people aren't flying into poles and trees and shit, but life of a basher, man. All right, people, so that's it. Here's my engine, you know, for the Baja, the budget Baja, and we are going to finish this up. I just gotta finish on my pull start, get everything cleaned up, and we'll be doing a rip on this thing sometime pretty soon. I just can't get over how smooth this is, man. And I am running 500K in the diff, all brand new built diff here. 500K, and I ran out of fast eddy grease, so my next best thing is going to be the Bartolone dog bone and transmission sticky grease. But you just can't beat fast eddy. Fast eddy is the best grease for our RC applications. So, all right, people. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you checking out my videos all the time. Giving me all the support that I get. I love going into Hybrid's channel and checking them out in Texas Hill Country and all that. But please be courteous. I mean, I know I say hello to everybody and all that stuff, but those are their live streams, and I try not to go too much into things that I'm doing and upcoming videos and that type of stuff, because that's their spotlight, man. So let's kind of respect that. I definitely want you guys to say hi to me. I love seeing all y'all in there in these live streams. But let's not talk too much about what I'm doing on my channel in their live streams. It's about them and supporting them at that point. So, all right, people, I appreciate y'all. And maybe I can get this thing loaded up in the Techno. Maybe we'll get out there and do a video, you know, attach a video to this, or maybe a separate video. Again, I've been working 70 hours plus a week in 5 days. I have a 5-day work week. I'm off on Sundays and Wednesdays, so y'all can expect videos on those days, but pretty much none of the other days at this point. It's real busy at work. So I appreciate y'all. Remember, treat people the way you want to be treated. We'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.